Warning, listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to this episode of Influencers Radio. Today we're going to be talking about something that, I think a lot of people are aware of, but it kind of busts through some of the preconceived notions that people have about working with coaches, with mentors, with advisors. And a lot of times, people think, well, the people that need, mentors, advisors, coaches are people that are struggling, people that are trying to, find success, people that just can't seem to grasp on to, what they're after. And the fact is, very, very successful people do seek the advice of mentors, of coaches. In fact, it's probably one of the things that you'll find most common amongst successful people, successful entrepreneurs. And a lot of times you will see that successful people, when they achieve success, they don't consider that's the time that they've won. Now it's time to kick back and sit on the beach or enjoy their success. That's part of who they are. That's the lion in them that has to hunt, that wants to keep moving and keep creating and keep developing. And I think about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan he was the elite. He was, when people think of basketball, if they don't know another single name in basketball, they oftentimes will talk about Michael Jordan. And what did Michael Jordan do when he was at the top of his game, when he was Mr. Basketball? He decided, you know what, I'm not going to play basketball. I'm going to go play baseball. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses do when they are riding on some great success. They start looking at going into new markets to develop new products, new services, because that's what they do. And today, my guest that I feel completely privileged to have, he has I think I want to say the luxury, but he's earned this luxury of working with some of the most elite and successful entrepreneurs that are at the top of their game in their business, that are exactly at that point that they are ready to move into a new market, to develop new products and services. And they are smart enough to realize that they need help, that they need someone that's going to help guide them and transition them to that market on several different levels. And today my guest is the guy that gets to do that, Mr. Dave Williams. And I can tell you from what I've seen, the success that Dave has had, the success that he's had with his clients, Michael Jordan might have been better off if he would have sought the help of someone like Dave when he transitioned into baseball, because a lot of Dave's clients had enjoyed just as much success in their new market and their new venture as they've had in their current business. So with that, please welcome to Influencers Radio, Dave Williams. Dave, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jack, and it is a luxury for me to get to work with these tremendous people.
Well, that's what I got to say, and that's why it just fascinates me to talk to people like you, because you have so much, the stories that you can tell. I could sit and listen to it for hours, because they're so rich with stories and information, but also the fact that you're in a position of working with very successful people when they are kind of in a little vulnerable spot. And we're talking about, you've worked with people in industries from real estate, legal, medical, energy, the government, and they've all been very successful people. So I want to know, starting right off, what is it like going in as an advisor to someone that's so successful? To me, that's got to be an intimidating experience.
Well, you would think it is, Jack, because back from my military background, when I went into the Pentagon and got to meet all the stars, I was really nervous. And in the military, the people with the stars usually were the nicest people. So 15 years ago, when I got out and got into business and meeting the people that I've been the pleasure of meeting, I was a little bit shocked, but these guys and women are the nicest, most generous people you've ever met. I mean, they make you feel so comfortable the moment you walk in. It's all that television and misperception that goes on in today's culture is just wrong.
Well, and that's why and it seems logical. I mean, that's the way that I thought before I started talking with you. And that's what makes it so fascinating, because you have clients that, I think when they average like 20 plus years of experience in their market, they're successful. They're recognized industry experts, and that happen to be moving into a new area. And to me, I would think that it would be very tough to advise them or say, you should do this or you should do that. I would think that there would be a lot of resistance, like, look at my track record. I know what I'm doing. Who are you to tell me? But it sounds like it's almost the inverse, that they are open, or they're probably got to that success because they are open to listening to suggestions or listening to experience from those that have been and have done what they want to do.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Jack. In fact, it's amazing. The people at the highest levels, so I've worked with people from my level, initially starting out, to some of the highest levels in the industries. And the thing that I found out is that the higher you go, the more successful they are, the more they ask for help. And not only the more they ask for help, but they make it really easy for you to help them. I tell you, it's the exact opposite. Plus, there's one thing I want to share with you, is when you're working with them, they come up with these amazing visions and ideas and concepts. It's just such an honor to be in a room with them. It's almost like going to a Broadway play and just seeing the best actors in the world controlling everything. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and I guess you're, from your vantage point, you're working with these successful folks, but they happen to not be successful and or have not had success, or are looking to move into a new market with success, and that's something that they may feel a little bit intimidated themselves, or they may be unsure of, or maybe they've had some stumbles as they're doing that. So let's dig into what it is exactly that you get to help them achieve. It sounds like that what you do, and when I first, started doing research and looking at your business and how you helped, I was looking at it from a strictly tactical side, that, okay, you help them structure this and put together this and craft this. But as we dug deeper, it's almost like you play a role of not just a tactical advisor, but almost a psychologist with this, because there's a lot of emotional struggles that come along with this. It's not just about where do I put this and the mechanics of it.
Yeah, you're bringing up one of the things that amazed me the most, is that because of the success that these people have had, you would think they wouldn't have any fear, doubt, or worries, that they wouldn't be like you and I, always having fear, doubt, and worry that we deal with on a daily basis. But they are. In fact, in a lot of cases, they have more fear, doubt, and worry than we do, because of the number of people that are depending on them to be successful. And like I like thinking of them, that they're like the old Maytag repairmen. The loneliest person in the world are actually the most successful people in the world.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. The Maytag repair band is a great analogy. He's the product's so good he never gets to get out and see people. You know what? Also, I thought about when you said that is, I think back to the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. You talk about the guy that was probably one of the most successful and had so many people surrounding him, but you hear about how lonely he is. And I think that's probably the case with a lot of your clients is they've been used to having these yes men around them for so many years. They've been used to having people agree with them because they've achieved success and nobody wants to rock the boat and everybody wants to stay. But when they say, hey, let's do something new, sounds like they might hit some resistance for the first time that they've experienced in a long time. And I think that's where the psychology role probably comes in with you. So what happens when someone that has had great success for many years and all of a sudden they say, well, great, you know what? This is running smooth. Now I want to move into this. You would expect that people around them would say, well, based on your track record, we're there, we're on. But that doesn't seem to be the case. I want you to talk about that because that's something that a lot of people may not realize. And it's surprised me, and I can imagine it probably surprised your clients as this happens.
Oh, absolutely. And you're spot on, Jack. There is one thing I want to back up on a little bit is that almost everybody I work with has amazing teams, and they're not, yes, we agree with. They're just very good in their market niche, and they all bring up their roles, and they're far from yes men or yes people. They are just really amazing elite teams. But what happens, and you brought this up very succinctly, is that when their leader, who's already taking them to where they think is victory, is going off on a new battle, a new war, a new mission, they really question, like, what's going on? In fact, one of my current clients is working with where his existing partners have stated, hey, it's time for us to get out. We're not ready to go on this next mission with you or war with you. And it was really quite a shock. So when you do that, you would think, and almost all the clientele we work with do believe that when they announce this new mission, because of their existing success, they're going to get parades down their hometown street and everything else. And in reality, you know, everyone from their loved ones, their spouses, to their partners at work kind of questions, why are we going to go through all this mess and sometimes embarrassment of starting a new market in a new market?
Yeah, and well, you brought something up that is also important. That it's not just their business associates, and you know, when you talked about that, that's why I think you have just tremendous insight in this. Is the fact that, you know, the people that they work with, whether it's partners, their teams that you know, you talk about how incredible their teams are, they may have said, you know, we did it. We won. Now let's enjoy the success. But they're ready to go and take on a new thing, almost like Michael Jordan. You know, you won your basketball. Enjoy the success. We said, no, you know what? I think I'm going to go play baseball now. And there's probably a lot of people that, you know, said, oh, no, I'm not jumping on this one. And so I understood that a little bit better, you know, as you explained that. But another kind of left hook is they also have the personal people in their personal life that are not nearly as excited, or sometimes almost the reverse, of they don't have the enthusiasm about this new venture that they're going into. And you talk about, you know, whether it's their spouse or other people. So, talk a little bit about that, the personal side of this, outside of the business folks not, you know, being ready for this, but what the toll it takes when they find out that their relationships on the personal side aren't ready to take this journey with them as well.
Well, that's actually one of the biggest struggles they have to deal with. So on their personal side, one of the things we start with is bringing clarity to their personal ambition as well as their business ambition as they're moving forward. Because what we found is if their personal ambition doesn't align with their business ambition, they're not going to be as successful as they plan. And as they're doing this, a lot of times they have trouble sharing what their personal ambition is with the people they love and care about most. And this includes their spouses at home and their business partners about why it's so important for them to keep growing. Because they haven't achieved all that they can achieve yet. They haven't become the person they're supposed to become.
I know, and that's something that's so important for success that a lot of people don't think about. It goes back to that, just the tactical part. But I guess they have to make some decisions, right? And so in order for you to be successful in helping them transition, you talk about you make sure that these align. What is generally the response or the action to them when you start, let's start here? And maybe they may have thought that we're going to start with, this, let's get down to business on the tactical side. Are they usually open to that? Or is that a piece that they may have a little resistance to?
Well, let's take you through an actual example of one. So there was this project, and for medicine that we were doing that was going to allow the pediatric asthma cases in Southern California to be taken care of. And we were working with this specialist, a pediatric asthma specialist, and he had to come up with this whole new way of taking care of people in their homes, a whole new triage system. And basically, to sign off on doing this for the first time, he had to put his career and his personal life at risk, because in medical profession, if you make a mistake, you're kind of done. And when we first talked to him about doing it, going through it, there had to be decisions made. I remember one was a stethoscope, because you can't do a stethoscope through television and look at it on video very well. You can't have them do it. But he worked through it. His initial reaction was, we can't do the project, right? I can't afford this risk. But then after working through it and aligning his personal ambition with his career ambition of becoming a leader in telemedicine, he figured out a way to work around it, and it became one of the most successful projects. And let me share a result of what happened. So there was this one case of this 16-year-old boy who couldn't walk to the television to turn on, turn off without breathing hard. He had terrible asthma. He'd been clinically dead twice already in the hospital. And when we installed the system at his house, I'll never forget walking out with the case manager, the nurse, and his mom walks to the door with us and goes, "How do I know what you just did will not kill my son?"
That's a tough question.
Yeah. But I want to share the value because of the client. The specialist had put into it and was so convinced this would work. 6 months later, that same 16-year-old boy had his driver's license, was in a marching band, and was playing soccer. His life was changed forever.
Yeah, that's remarkable. It really is. In these decisions, like you said, it doesn't just affect your clients. It affects it's just far-reaching, probably beyond what people even could consider, which is just tremendous. How this how far-reaching this is. So what I want to kind of talk about here is the fact that when you find out what their goals, and if their goals align and what they're trying to achieve, aligns with both personal and professional ambitions. Let's say you get on the same page and you have that set. Now, what is it that you're helping them to do to enter this new market, and now that they understand what the real challenge is and what the real work ahead of them is, what is it that you do when it's time to kind of pull up the bootstraps and get going?
Well, that's another great question. The thing that we really help them out with first is understanding when they're going after this new market is what will make them happy to walk away from this deal. So when you're going in and you've got this offer, let's just take another example of one of the clients we're working with is very successful, and he wants to do a joint venture with another business that's even much more successful on there. And one of the things we help him clarify first is okay, what will make you walk away from this deal? And the reason that's so important, Jack, is the smaller business, even though this guy is a very successful mid-sized business, when dealing with a joint venture with a much larger business that has the potential to change everything, to take them to that next level, they kind of focus only on how do I get that joint venture partner to sign. And what we really help them line in on is not only how to achieve that result, but going into those negotiations, what will be the result that you'll be happy to walk away with clarity? What will make you turn down this deal? And when they go into that negotiation with that clarity and that information, they are in just such a better spot, and the results just turn out to be much better.
You know, I can't let this pass. That is one of the you know, just mind-boggling. I don't know of a better word, because when you said that and you explained that, that is really, it's impossible not to examine the things that really give you an insight to your level of commitment when you ask yourself that question. And that right there just struck me. I mean, it really is brilliant to me, because, you know, so many people think about what it is, you know, what will it take to get this deal? What am I willing to give up to get this deal? What am I willing to, everything to get this deal? But to really, you know, like I said, to measure your level of commitment to this, what will it take for you not to? And that's when you start examining, and you see other people. You can almost use that to examine other people's commitment when, if it really doesn't take that much. And I think if you reduce it down to a child, that I want this, and you think, oh yeah, well, what if I give you this ice cream? Will you still want? Okay, no, I'll take the ice cream. You understand their level of commitment, to what that is. So that is really fascinating that you've done that. And what have you seen when people are faced and ask them that question? I know you said the clarity that comes over them. I can't even imagine what when people actually do sit down and go through that exercise.
Well, I'd love to say with you that this happens in a 15-minute phone call or something, but this usually goes over for several weeks. And at first they do it because they haven't thought about it, right? They really haven't thought about it, so it takes time to get handle on the problem, and then they actually have to come up with the realization, yes, that there are limitations, there are reasons they would walk away with it. And once they come to that realization, then we work on bringing clarity, specificity to those reasons so they know exactly what they'll walk away from. And usually the process actually takes a few weeks of working through to get to that point. But once they're there, it's like a different person. In fact, we had one person, when she worked through this with herself and what she was doing in her business, she told us, I don't recognize myself anymore. So that's part of it.
Yeah, that is. And I think right there is why Dave Williams is the the name that people turn to when they're ready to do something like this. To be able to achieve that clarity is invaluable. So let's talk about this. So, if we go back, so they, when they have that clarity of what they're willing to walk away from, right? And when you realize that they are really, and they see their level of commitment, and they realize, like you said, she said, don't recognize themselves, or they feel like a different person. Does that help them in either tougher skin or being able to handle that, that lack of excitement or enthusiasm from their business partners, from their spouses, their personal relationships? Because obviously that's probably part of that mix of that level of commitment. How is that part of what when they overcome those obstacles?
Well, it is, and what we like to call it is they completely commit to their success. So once they have the clarity and everything, they start taking actions, and these actions they're going to take, it's not no matter what the consequences, but they're going to take these actions because if they don't take these actions, they're aware of the consequences if they don't take them. And when they fully commit, I mean, we had one on a government project. This lady was just awesome, and it was a very high stress, multi-billion-dollar project, and very short time frame, 6 months to complete. And when we walked her through this about what she was willing to walk away from, what she made the decision on was in government was not to follow the existing regulations that were written, because if she did, it would guarantee failure of her project. And to do this, she actually had to fire the lead of her team a couple months into a 6-month project, and it had 30 different corporations involved. It's just amazing who these people become as far as leaders once they fully commit to their success and the actions they're willing to take and the results that get produced because of those actions.
Yeah, that's that is just extremely, extremely powerful. So I want to talk right now to some people that may, they may be hearing this and saying, this is me. This is the position that I'm in. This is something that, I'm about to let people know of this new direction I'm going. And up until this point, I thought that this was going to be so well received and like you said, they're ready for the parade to happen, right? Yeah, right. So let's talk to these folks that are in this position now and kind of prep them for what they may be about to experience. So let's start with that popularity piece where they think they're about to make this announcement and they think it's going to be confetti and strike up the band, but in reality, their partners, their loved ones may not. In your case, I would say, would you say may not, or most probably will not share the enthusiasm of what they're about to do?
Well, I won't guarantee it, but it's almost a guarantee. And Jack, it really comes down to human nature. I mean, none of us, me included, I love sitting in my chair right now. For me to get out and go dig a hole or do something that I don't want to, I'm going to fight it. But one of the things I do want to share, a lot of the people of your listeners are probably in corporations, major corporations. And one of our clients who had taken his major corporation in a new direction about 5 years ago and produced about an additional $1 billion in revenue, had another idea, another direction to take, another market to go after. And he was positive that his corporation would support him on this new direction. And the way his corporation supported him was they said, great idea, you do it, your expense, and once it's successful, then we'll buy into it. So it's not only the mid-sized companies or that, it's these huge corporations that have structures in place and cultures that even when they've experienced the success won't support their,
I think Steve Jobs was probably a perfect example of that, back when Apple, when he was kind of pushed out of Apple, his innovation he thought would be fully supported, and they're like, you know what, this is a bit much for us.
He's a perfect example, and he got kicked out for 12 years before they realized their mistake.
Yeah.
Hopefully, corporations today can realize their mistakes quicker than that.
All right, so we've established that it's probably not going to be the parade that they thought it was going to be with their partners, both business and personal. Let's talk about the teams. Right. And you talked earlier about a lot of these, the people in this position have really great teams, that these are people that are top of their game. They are, make the wheels spin in a business, and they're really good. But one of the most, I think, overused or common issues, especially with people that are CEOs or high level, is they like to use the word just. Well, all we have to do is just do this and just do this. And I can tell from, running businesses and other people that I've talked to about running businesses that word just is very dangerous, because sometimes they assume the abilities or the way things work are really a little bit different, even though their teams have a great record. Talk about what these expectations and how often they may not be consistent with what reality is with these teams.
Oh, I'd love to. In fact, there's a lady in my mastermind who I think is just one of the most outstanding business people I've ever met, and besides just one of the greatest people in the world. And when she was leading a couple of her multi-million-dollar businesses, she came up with an idea for a third one. And when she came up with the idea for the third one, this was in a totally new direction, a totally new market, and her team rebelled. They said, "We can't do this. This is too risky on it." And she went into the fact, we were talking in the mastermind of how, well, my team will love this. We've done 2 of them together. We'll just,
yeah.
Right? We'll just modify it. Well, to make a long story short, she actually had to fire her existing team, almost every member on it, because they just refused to go in a new direction, because they thought that the new direction would harm the existing businesses. Couple years later almost, and the existing businesses are doing better, much better than they were, and now there's a third multi-million-dollar business.
And do you see that it's both ways, though, that maybe, the team overreacted or misjudged, the difficulty of it coming on? How many times do these, your clients, do they maybe oversimplify or when they put the plan in place in their mind, it wasn't as complex as what it really turns out to be?
Okay. That's human nature. We all think things are going to be easier.
I think that's where that just comes from. Just is such a dangerous word.
Yeah. And in the military, we had a great saying, or there's still a great saying in the military, is that no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And it's the same thing in business. No business plan survives first contact with the market, the business market you're going after. You have to change immediately and often. And actually, one of the qualities of a great leader is to be able to lead change. And that's where I'm so privileged to working with all these great people.
Right. And, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't consider is they think taking on this new venture, and I think this might be where, you talked about the teams, rebelling or, saying that this can't be done or it's too difficult, may not just be the task at hand or the new venture, because this isn't just a matter of will this new venture succeed or fail, but also how will shifting focus or the taking on this new venture affect our currently successful business. So how do you see that? Is there a risk or consequences that that are attached to their current success or their current business as they start moving to this new one? It's not just a pass-fail on the new one. It could be detrimental to their current business sometimes. Do you see them missing that, or is that something you have to kind of take into consideration?
Well, Jack, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I kind of glossed over that point. The thing that's going on with almost every person is, and you made it great, I'll just have my team do these few extra things. Well, what they don't realize or at the time is their team's already fully engaged in producing their existing success. Their team probably doesn't have the subject matter expertise necessary to produce the success in the new market anyway, nor do they have the time to do it. And that's almost one of the things that we always readjust after the planning phase, after we get out to market, is increasing the team size and definitely bringing on new team members that have subject matter expertise in this new market. So it's just I'm really glad you brought up that point. They almost always overestimate the capabilities of their existing team, overestimate the time that they have to invest in this new market, and greatly underestimate the expertise, knowledge that they're going to need to be successful in the new market.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where a lot of the benefit of working with someone like you is to be able to, one, not only have the experience around that, but to be able to recognize where that's occurring. Because, you know, a lot of people, success can be intoxicating, right? And there's people that feel that success breeds success. And to a point that can be true. How many of them may be a little bit overconfident that, well, I'm successful in this, therefore I'm going to be successful in that. Similar to Michael Jordan. I'm great at basketball. I think I'm going to be great at baseball. And of course, ran into a few issues. What is it about, what is it that they're usually missing, or those things that everybody faces? I think, you know, when we were talking previously, that don't know what they don't know factor. You know, how much of that do you see when you're coming in there? Maybe just a little bit of overconfidence, even though they know that they need help, they need advice, and they're coming to you, that they may overlook that, or just feel that they have a certain kind of a head start or a little bit more latitude because of their current success?
Well, first let me share with you, I was the one that did it the most. I came out of my successful military career. I came out of a background where my parents were successful in business, and I thought that I could take all my existing successes and accomplishments, go start a business, and just be successful. Now, fortunately, that turned out to be true, but you don't want to know how many failures and bumps in the road, tears, late nights, lack of sleep before I actually learned enough to be successful. So I just wanted to bring that out to the guys and gals out there that are starting new businesses. That's one of the reasons that over 80% of new businesses fail within the first 5 years. But more importantly, to your point, Jack, about the people that have already ran successful businesses, they always believe that, not always, I'll just say the majority of the time, believe that they can be successful in a new market without getting any additional help. And let me give you a worst case instance that I'm aware of that happened. Is we had one client that we helped take to over a $10 million valuation in about 12 months. And at that point, we recommended to get to the next level, which was 20 million. We need to bring in a new board and a new CEO and stuff, people who were competent, because that was taking them into a different market than they were currently in. And unfortunately, the owner of the company decided that he could go into a new market without that new expertise, that new knowledge and stuff. And 3 years later, that company was in bankruptcy. So that's the negative of what can happen when people think their success can go into new markets. And I've already shared with you a lot of stories about the positive when they realize they can take their existing skill sets into new markets as long as they supplement them with the necessary subject matter expertise and experience required for the new market.
Right. And so even when people recognize this, and one thing I want to make sure that we really cover is because you opened up a lot of, as opportunities, but also I think you've exposed some pain points that people may have that maybe they weren't ready for if they're about to announce this new venture, that they're ready to go into a new direction. And a lot of times that does just take people by surprise. The obviously the folks that are taking into consideration and taking advantage of what you're saying today, they know that may not be the case. So maybe we can help them out a little bit in perhaps inoculating their board or their partners ahead of time, or at least to assess, maybe without going, full on with their announcement, to almost prepare them so that when they work with someone like you, it'd be a much easier transition or a much easier, onboarding process. What is it? You talk about, support from board of directors, support from partners. If someone, before today thought, this is going to be great, I'm going to be, there's going to be cheers and hip hip hooray. And now they realize that that's probably not, rather than just unloading this news on people, what would you recommend that they do to perhaps inoculate them for what's about to come and make it easier to work with someone like you to do this?
Well, this comes back to just doing the basics of what we were taught at Ranger School and other places in business, which is effective communication about what the mission actually is. So this is a whole process and system and framework that we're talking about that needs to be put in place for any business, actually any business, any relationship, anything that you value in life. And what that means, Jack, is first of all, they have to work with everybody to make sure that they're working on the same mission, that they're aligned. And this goes back to where we talked about getting the personal and business ambitions aligned. Well, you need to do this for every team member, and that includes the boards, to make sure everybody's aligned and moving in the right direction and gets the personal and professional benefits that they desire. The second step in the process that we have is the effective communications. And you'd be amazed at how terrible people are at communicating with each other. And there's actually many ways you can learn to improve the effectiveness of communication for them by putting communication programs in place that allow people from all levels to be able to communicate effectively with their bosses and with their peers. One of the great reports in Harvard Business Review, I forgot a few months back, was that 50% of all wasted time in corporations is because people are protecting themselves inside their own corporation. And what that means is they spend half of their wasted time worrying about how to protect themselves in their own business, in their own environment. It's just crazy when you think of it. And then finally, after you've got the alignment, the vision, and the communications down with it, the third step is to actually put together the plan, start executing, and then, rinse and repeat, do it again and again, and keep adjusting as each plan hits the market and it doesn't turn out the way you expected, either better or worse.
Yeah, that is, I think, in that preparation probably makes a tremendous and a dramatic difference in the rest of the journey, if taking those initial steps. One thing, Dave, I got to hear before we get out of here is what led you to find yourself in this position, to working with successful people, the level, the elite clients that you work with. Because your diverse background, like you said, from the military and working with government and things like that, to where you are today, that you do have the opportunity and you have the respect and ear of people that are so successful to help them when they're ready to transition to something like this.
Well, it really goes back, Jack, to what I wanted out of my life. I mean, for the first 50 years of my life, I only worked to achieve the next level of success, whether it was in school becoming like captain of the basketball team, or in the military doing amazing projects and accomplishments, my people accomplishing them, or in my personal life or my business life, a serial entrepreneur and multiple small businesses. However, what I realized for this business was I actually have the opportunity to design the life I want. Not just achieve the goals that other people have set out for me or recommended that I achieve, either from my family or the culture we exist in. And I reflected back when I was starting this business about how could I do things to design my life that will be better than what my parents had. And my parents are my heroes, Jack. I mean, my mom and dad, they're the American dream success story. They risk everything to buy a grocery store in Bland, Missouri, and mortgaged everything out to the hill to do it. And then my dad was able to turn that into 5 businesses. And after a couple decades of success, Walmart came in and put them out of business. And one of the things that I wanted to design my life and to help other people do was not experience Walmart coming in and killing their dreams. Now, what I want to share with you is Walmart did not kill my parents' dreams. Walmart was actually a huge opportunity, and my mom actually shared this with me, I guess about 10 years ago, that my dad and her both realized that there was no way they could compete with Walmart. And there was many reasons behind that, but it was just an impossible way to compete. But what they could have done was, upon that realization, Walmart was a tremendous opportunity. Remember, it was started in Arkansas, and Missouri is right next to it, right above it, actually. And they could have sold their stores and invested in Walmart because they were better than that. And that's what my mom taught me about. She goes, Dave, as you're doing it, remember, life, you're not fixed into your niche. You can design the life you want and move forward. And that's what I really wanted to do. So in my career, I've been working with all these amazing people for 20 plus years. They've been producing all these amazing accomplishments. And I just decided it was time for me to design my life to intentionally continue working with these amazing people, work with more of them, and work on more important projects to just have a better life.
Truly amazing. And I think, that's part of what, I feel makes you an influencer is, taking, that experience. And it's just amazing to me as I, talk to people how moments in time or, just pieces of their life go on to make such a huge difference in their futures. But when I really look at it, not just a huge difference in their futures, but in others, so many others, because that experience and you doing what you do today affects not just yourself, it affects your clients, and not just your clients, but affects their business partners, their teams, their personal relationships. And what you do for them, makes it a much easier transition and helps them enjoy the same, if not greater success in their new venture than they had previously. So I want to thank you so much for sharing this with us today. How can folks find out more about Dave Williams and what you're up to, and particularly if they find themselves in a position that they are about to head off into this new venture and to prepare for that, to get involved with what you're doing?
The easiest way for them to find out is just go to the website, thewcoachinggroup.com, and that's where you'll find out a little bit about me, a little information. You'll also find out more information about me through my LinkedIn account. But most importantly, too, is I just want to share the people that are out there being entrepreneurs and taking the risk and actually improving the world, accepting the bumps, the scars that go along with it, along with the rewards when they're successful, of how much I admire them for doing that. Because it is my belief that entrepreneurs, successful business owners, and people who will be successful business owners are the way to really significantly improve the world that we live in.
tremendous information. Again, folks, check out Dave Williams, the wcoachinggroup.com. We'll have that link right there in the show post. Again, Dave, thank you so much for being on Influencers Radio. It really was a privilege to have you on here sharing this information.
Well, thank you, Jack. I really had a good time, and I really value you allowing me to participate.
All right. Well, fantastic. Folks, there you have it. Check it out. Again, thewcoachinggroup.com. And until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.